Hello and welcome to the 2014 SGA presidential debate. I'm Joe Bruno and I'll be your moderator this evening. I'm joined by executive president candidates Joe Incorvia and Jessica Petrillo. Thank you for being here, guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Here's a little bit about how tonight's debate is going to work. The format is as follows. Each candidate will make a brief opening statement. I will then begin posing questions to the candidates. Each question will warrant a 1-minute response followed by a 30-second rebuttal. At the end, we will have closing statements, and discussion can continue at my discretion. Are there any questions?
I think we're good.
All right, well, let's begin with your opening statement, Joe.
No problem. Thank you, Joe. Well, as you guys all, hopefully if you're still tuned in from the speeches, my name is Joe Incorvia, and like Jess, we're both running for student body president. And for me, ELN has really been a place where I've seen myself grow, experience change, and being a part of SGA for the past 3 years has been truly a defining experience for me. And so, my reason for running is that I want to be a student that leads other students, and my experience on SGA as well as just the experience of being an ELN student really fits this role really well. So thank you.
Hi everyone. I first want to thank you for coming out, those of you at home watching and those of you here in the audience. You know, it's funny, like I said during my speech, as a first year, could have never imagined running for a role like this in my junior year here at ELN. And it truly is because of the opportunities that I've been given and because of the people that I've met here that this is even possible. I can't imagine doing it any other way at this point in my life. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to accomplish those goals and meet those people and do those same things and live out your dreams at ELN however you want to do it. So I move on to you then, I guess.
Thank you very much. Joe, let's start with you. Executive president candidates say every year they want to increase the dialogue between the school and the student government. You spoke about that a lot in your speech. What are you going to do differently that other presidents haven't done in the past?
I think, you know, Joe, transparency is something that comes up every year. And for lack of a better term, when I think of what I would do differently is just continuing how accessible SGA truly is and making sure that students know that. There's a lot of reasons why students can come to SGA, and I think they only really know us as like a bank, and they know us that they can come to us with problems. If a big incident happens, you know, we'll hold a forum, or if we need money, we can go to SGA. But I think that what's really important is to make sure that each position on SGA really knows their roles and really understands what their responsibilities are and who they represent. And making sure that the students around campus know who those representatives are. Why can't the Org Council representatives be posted in their respective schools? Why can't the at-large councils have their posters all over the place? I think it's just more important for people to get their name out there and know that they have space to come to us and talk to us whenever they want.
Jess, how will you address transparency?
You know, I think that's a really good question and something that definitely came up earlier this year, especially first semester when we had those incidents. And I feel that I was really able to connect with the student body over that because in organizing that forum, tons of students who didn't feel they had a place to have their voices heard did. And the comments that I received afterwards and the feedback were just incredible. People were so happy that they were able to not only bring it to us as an issue, but also bring it to Dr. Jackson, Dean Patterson, and all the staff members that were so nice to come and join us and listen to what students say. And I think that doing things like that and really being open to those types of conversations is really important.
Jess, in your speech you spoke a lot about diversity. How can we as a campus promote diversity without secluding and separating different backgrounds and groups?
I think that that's a really good question. I think it's something that ELN is definitely examining on a higher level and has been pushing for a very long time. I think continuing to support what they're doing as far as you know, admissions goes and looking at things that when things do happen that we're reacting appropriately to them and making sure that students, no matter what happens, feel welcome to come to us, to come to any one of their representatives to make sure that they feel ELN is a better place and a good outlet for them to explain what their discomfort is.
I think Jess makes great points. I think that SGA should be someone that students come to and talk about these things, and that we should align ourselves with what the university has already been doing and being proactive to address these things. I think it all starts really with orientation as well, that there should be an expectation when you come in of what kind of standard we hold ourselves here at ELN, and you know, what's appropriate, especially when talking about diversity, because that's such a tough subject. And so I think the intellectual climate talks that are going on address orientation really well, and we can hopefully see some changes in the next year that really tells people when they come to ELN University, this is what they can expect and this is what they can do.
Well, Joe, tomorrow is the SGA Intellectual Climate Coffee Forum. It's an event aimed to gather the opinions and beliefs of students regarding the combination of social and academic life. What are you looking to come out of this event?
I think this event is really great because it's allowing students to come and talk about what has really been a huge initiative for SGA this past year. You know, it stemmed from discussions that we've had at our senior staff retreat in the summer, and really going to finding a way to really enhance the intellectual climate here. And I think what's important is that hopefully coming out of this event, students can come talk to their representatives, talk to the current executive officers and the senators that are there, and really understand, you know, what are our goals moving forward, and how do we want to talk about these kinds of topics moving forward. And hopefully my main goal is that people are more aware that we are trying to push the university to have more intellectual conversations and understand the power that these kind of conversations can have. So hopefully we can get out of that something pretty great and more momentum going towards what we've been trying to do over the last year.
I would definitely agree with that. I think that it's really important as ELN moves forward as a prominent university on the state front and on the national front. I think that exploring these things such as intellectual climate and how intellectually stimulated are students, how welcome do they feel to explore passions, I think that that's something really important. And the different things that we've been exploring, especially in the Intellectual Climate Committee, I think it's going to be great to hear student opinions on that and be able to really put those into action.
Jess, so far this year, 2 of our dining halls have received below average health scores. Mold was found in the Colonnades ice machine, and raw chicken was served to a patron to the point where they had to refund her food dollars in the dining hall. Is there anything the SGA can do to address these kinds of issues?
So I think that that's definitely a student issue that was addressed earlier this year. I know that we had someone come and present to us, actually a few people come and talk to us about it and really be honest with us. And I think that that's really important, that they were there, they were available, they were willing to come and tell us about it, be completely forthcoming with us and let us know what actually happened. And therefore we were able to go forth to the student body and let them know what happened. And I think that that was really crucial. That was a very important element to what happened. And I think that that happens, you know, that does happen anywhere that there's food served. And I think that being as careful as we are, we just need to keep examining those things moving forward and really keep SGA open to those types of conversations.
And I completely agree. I think what Jess said about having the representatives from Aramark and those that handle our food come and talk to us was really great. You know, these things, as Jess said, they happen, and they do. And what was told by us to us was that, you know, even though these things happen, sometimes it gets publicized in a way where students feel frightened, students really get scared, and that they really shouldn't need to worry. And just having those honest dialogues and making sure that students are able to get that information correctly and from the right sources is really important. And I think, you know, these things could come up again, and I think that's a great way to handle it and continue what we did this year.
Joe, in a recent interview with ELN, President Welsford Bishopric said SGA and SUB are examining whether or not to combine the fall and spring concerts next year. Where do you stand on the issue?
I think it's a fantastic idea. And my reasoning for that is not saying that I've never enjoyed the spring concert, but saying that what we did this year, we brought in Time Flies, and we said that we would raise the bar and we would bring a concert that students would love. And I think we did our best to really deliver that, and we did do a good job, and the students enjoyed it. And I think the next step is to really think about, okay, where can we allocate more money to try to figure out how we can even do a grander concert and make this the tradition rather than a one-time thing. And so I think it's really important for us moving forward to continue those talks, find the best ideas for how that works. And I think I'm completely for it if that's something the students want, and that's something the students will enjoy. And I think that will be the best thing for everyone in the end.
I would tend to agree with you there. I think that this year was very unique in our homecoming concert, and I think the student body would agree with me when I say that. I think that next year it's going to be great to bring in something big if that's what we decide to do, but I think it really should be up to the student body about whether we combine or don't combine those two concerts.
Jess, in your speech today, you said that you admit that you won't be a perfect president, but what can you offer the presidency that your opponent might not be able to?
Sure. So I think that's a great question, and Joe and I are great friends, so no matter what.
Answer honestly.
I think that one of my strongest suits is my personality. I think that I'm a very open person, and I think I'm very, very welcoming to anyone who wants to approach me. I love to talk to people. I love to deal with people, and I really have loved representing ELN on any front that I've been given the opportunity to do so. And I think that keeping in mind while you're president that you represent ELN, you represent the student body. You are a student leader for more than just the people that you think you are. And I think keeping that in mind is really important. And I think that because of my personality and combining it with that, I think I would make a great candidate for president.
Joe, I'm going to let you chime in Here, can you just speak closer to the mic, both of you? We're having some
Oh,
trouble
sorry.
in the control room,
Do you want us to
apparently,
pull
with
it
the audio.
forward?
Well, you can move it closer. You could lean closer, whichever you prefer.
I would have to concur. I think my personality is what really leads me to be a great candidate as well. But beyond my personality, I think it's the experiences that I've had. I've been on SGA since I've stepped on this campus, and for me, I just have a really, really good understanding of how SGA runs, and throughout many facets. Understanding by working closely with the treasurer and working on allocations, understanding how the treasury works, understanding the what ifs about homecoming, and understanding how the Senate runs for being vice president this year. And also just my involvement around campus. I've been involved in everything from science organizations to student government to what have you. And I just think all those experiences culminated is what makes me great.
Joe, what is one ELN-related story that you've read or viewed this year that surprised you and stands out to you as something that you would have addressed proactively as president?
I think something that was really surprising to me was when, and this was originally before we learned all the information about the whole dining hall incidents, was the fact that we got such low ratings and the fact that it wasn't communicated to the students that, you know, even though we got these ratings, like, we are still safe. There was this whole kind of big thing to do about how we are now eating unsafe food and students didn't want to go to the dining halls, and there was a kind of a panic. And I think what happens is if those things are immediately reported, having something, and we ended up having representatives come talk to us because they reached out to us and they wanted to come talk to us. But being proactive and reaching out to them before it gets to that point where they say, well, we'll come in and come talk to you guys. So I think for me, just being able to react to something and making sure that the students have the correct and truthful information right up front, so that no one really gets into a panic mode and no one really gets confused about what's going on.
I would definitely agree with you. In a different example, I talked about earlier this year the forum that we held in reaction to the unfortunate incidents in the Colonnades Residence Hall. And I remember, the articles that came out, they kept taking back the articles, saying maybe the information wasn't correct and things like that. And I know that having correct information is always very important to the ELN student body, and knowing those things up front may not always be possible, but I think that the university staff and faculty ended up handling that whole communication error very well and communicating to us what they thought and what would be the standards going forward. So I think that really helped, but addressing those things up front definitely is important.
Jess, what can you take away from Wellsford, Sam Warren, Darian Flowers, any of their presidencies, and learn from?
Sure. So I think that this year has been absolutely incredible. We've had so much change on SGA. Students who are senators have more responsibilities than they have ever had before in the past, and they've stepped up to those roles. And I think it's incredibly exciting. It's awesome. SGA has played more of a role in the ELN community than they ever have. And I think that that's something that needs to be continued, and really not only continued, but enforced, and they need to be held accountable to that. And I think that moving forward and being very strong as we, start out the next Senate year, I think that that's something that will be very important and something that I can take away from past presidents.
What I loved is just the differences that each of those presidents had. Sam Warren was kind of a lighthearted, kind of quieter kind of president who, had his opinions but really kept them and really tried to vote in the best sense of the student body. And for me, just kind of taking my opinions out of it is something that I learned from him. Darian was passionate about serving the student body extremely well. And I think that I can relate to that as well, and I have the best interests of the students in mind. And while you may have your own bias, I think it's important to be able to bring a different perspective. And Wellsford did an amazing job of rejuvenating the Senate and bringing it to what it is today. And I think that's something that I can honor as well, because that is my goal, is to keep moving that motivation and continue that momentum and see what happens from here on out.
Before I get to the next question, I'd like to apologize for mispronouncing Wellsford Bishoprick's name. I realized it as soon as I said it. Anyway, we have one more question for each of you now. I'm going to start with you, Joe.
Yeah.
Describe for me the first couple months of your presidency. Where do you see the most improvement needed?
Most improvement needed. I think that really starting from inauguration is what's really important is just making sure that we have senators who really understand what they are doing and really are able to relate to their constituents. And I think we did a great job this year of kind of starting to build those bridges. But I see my first couple months, at least till the end of the spring semester, ironing out some of the more logistical side of the Senate. And making sure that each different senator, whether you're on the at-large council representing the classes, the academic council representing the schools, or the organization council representing the different organizations, you know specifically what you're responsible to do, and you do it well. And I think it goes from not only preparing them in the correct way, but talking to students, talking to current students and the people that were on those councils previously, and finding the right students for those jobs, and really having a strong Senate, because I believe we had one this year, and I would love to have one again next year.
Jess?
I would agree. I think that, like I said, starting out, it's really important to maintain those responsibilities and those roles that we've given out to senators this year and made sure that they feel accountable for those. In addition, I think that looking at, last year we reorganized organization and council. I think it's really important this year that we start to look at large council and sort of help with the cohesiveness of it, and really get senators from different classes to work together to try and figure out the best ways to do things. And furthermore, a few months out, I would love to continue the service aspect of it and getting involved in the ELN community so people know who we are. It was great at Sports Fest and getting involved like that, and I would love to continue that.
One last question before I ask for your closing statements, Jess. What do you think the most pressing issue for ELN students is right now, and how will you address it?
So I think that that's a great question, because I think there's a lot of ways that can be taken. At the beginning of the year when we do the PIDLs list, it's always really interesting to see the smaller issues that students feel are pressing at ELN, from whether it's needing more benches on campus and more places to eat outside. I think that those are all really important, and working towards those smaller problems to fix all of them, that's something that should definitely take precedent. And on a larger scale, I think that the intellectual climate is something that's definitely being examined at a broader university level, and it's also being examined by us on Senate. And I think that making sure that students feel that they are being challenged not only in the classroom but outside of the classroom, or being able to pursue their passions, I think that's really important, especially as ELN moves forward as one of the more prominent schools around.
And I have to say, I think this is where Jess and I probably agree the most, both being on the intellectual climate committee. And I agree, we need to take care of those small things that the students want, and be able to make sure that their voices are heard in those regards. But I think when you talk about intellectual climate and you talk about moving forward with the things that we have already done, I think what's important to realize is that the students don't necessarily realize how much of potential they have to change that, and potential to have to really understand what it's about. And I think that's why the forum tomorrow is going to be fantastic. And I think that going forward, one of the most important things is just to make sure each student knows their role. Knowing that, when we talk about what Town Table could potentially become, rest its soul, I love Town Table, but when it comes up, that students have a say in what that is, and students have a say of what will be happening on that level.
Thank you both, and I will now ask for your closing statements.
Yeah, no problem. So once again, guys, my name is Joe Incorvia, and for me, ELN has been a incredible almost 3 years. And looking forward, one of the things that I really want to get across is that my experience as an ELN student really has taught me so much about myself and about what this university can offer. And I just feel as though if every single student could have the ability to chase a passion, achieve a dream, and go do what they want to do in this world and be prepared for that world, then it would be great. And now we can't provide that for everyone yet, but hopefully one day that we could do that. And for me, I want to be student body president because I feel as though I can relate to each and every student out there. I know what your struggles are. I know what you're concerned about. And what's important to me is that we can all find a way that we can make the best ELN experience possible.
I want to thank you all again for coming out tonight, and just mention, I may have not been on Senate as long as my opposing candidate. However, my 2 years not being on Senate have given me the opportunity to get to know campus on a different level. I've been able to work as an ELN elementary tutor. I've been able to volunteer in El Centro. I've been able to do different things that are associated with my career path, and really focus on those in addition to then becoming a senator. However, I think that also provides a unique opportunity for me to communicate and coordinate with students on campus and get to know them. I love ELN more than words can even express, and I absolutely jump at any opportunity I am given to represent it. And I think that is something very unique. And students, you don't realize how much of a representative you are of something until you're actually in those shoes. And I would love to continue to be in those shoes, but furthermore as a more prominent role as student body president.
Thank you both, and I wish you both the best of luck tomorrow and the days to come.
Thank you so much, yeah.
And that will conclude our debate. We will now head to Nicole Chadwick and Alex Rose for the post-debate analysis. Candidates, thank you very much, and be sure to vote tomorrow.
And welcome back. We just heard the executive presidential debate. Now let's go over what we just heard. Transparency. Now, I think the Student Government Association